Hello everyone, and welcome to Stranger Radio. Today I'll be talking about an art form called the Sublime. Now what is the Sublime, you might ask? Well, it is something of such grandeur and beauty that it renders the viewer in awe. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, take this piece for example. This piece was created by Caspar David Friedrich, and it is titled Wanderer Above Sea Fog, and it was made in 1817. Now, you can see here that there's a lone man on a cliffside somewhere, and he is the focal point of the piece, if you will. You can see surrounding him right over above the piece, the upper portion of the piece, if you will, is layered with fog and mountains and just something that stretches on for miles upon miles upon miles in this man's direction. And it is the second thing that most viewers will see about this piece, because of course they'll see the man first, and then they'll see what he's looking at, which is this huge, like, elaborate landscape which is in front of him that's almost clouded in mystery because of the imminent fog that is bellowing overhead. Now, what I do like about this piece is very specifically, I don't know if you can see it, but there's this one mountain right over here. And what's interesting about it is it's there, but it's also clouded by the fog that is looming above it, so you can't see it fully, but it adds mystery to the piece, like I said previously. And it's very interesting too that the detail of the cliffs is also like very shadowy, even though this whole part isn't foggy at all. And it kind of adds to a little it adds a little bit of color to the piece that would kind of not be there if it was just the fog in the background, especially the blue coat that the Wanderer has on right here. But other than that, I think that it's just a very well-rounded piece with a lot to say about it, especially with like how it makes you feel within the piece itself when you look at it. So it's very interesting. The next piece that I would like to focus on was created by, and forgive me if I mispronounce the name, Axeli Gelen Kalela, and it is titled Lake Kiteli. And it was created in 1904, and it is this beautiful Finnish landscape with a single island in the back. The research that I've done in this painting has revealed that it is supposed to be a kind of a painting of Finnish pride, so it shows the beauty of Finland's landscapes and their beautiful lakes and the mountainous regions in the back, very similar to actually the Wanderer Above Sea Fog. And what I like about it is it was able to capture this beautiful reflection right on the entire lake, especially like the reflection of the island right over here, where you can see that it's kind of casting almost like a shadow over the water. And what is interesting is that you can even see ripples in this water. So the detail and just the angle that it's shown from, where it's like almost on the water, it's like kind of careening down the lake a little bit, all the way to where you can see the little islands in the back, really adds to the piece and makes you feel, I guess, sublime, like I've been saying. And it does fit with the description because you can see that there is grandeur, there is beauty, there is some type of feeling you get from it where you do feel an awe from the piece. But what I think is most interesting about it is that it's put into like a perspective where like most art pieces you'll have like a focal point, whereas that would be the island in this, but it's kind of off to the side. And that is I think very intentionally done for this piece to show that it's not the island that we're specifically focusing on, but the entire piece as a whole has some value to it. So I think that's what's interesting about it. The last piece that I'd like to focus on is one that a lot of people are familiar with. This is The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, and it was made in 1889. Now, what is interesting about this piece is the heavy contrast of the yellow and blue. As you can see here, there's the biggest star, which is kind of a really heavy contrast of the yellow in between the sky, which is in the background here, which is represented by the blue. But what really makes this piece stand out is it's almost sort of whimsical in a way that you can see the wind kind of like swirling in the sky as you see this object on the side of the piece. I actually don't know what this is supposed to represent. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. But it is also in the background, you can see a little like splash of other colors in the sides of the buildings over here in the little village. And it's very interesting because it's very, like, I guess romanticized in a way, if that's the right word. It's similar to Wanderer above Sea Fog because they both feel romanticized, especially Wanderer because that was actually from the Romantic period. But this has always been a favorite among a lot of like people who appreciate art because it does have that feeling of the Sublime. I think you can look at it and it is this big landscape. But I will say, I think the only reason that you could say that is because of the tiny village in the background. Because I think without that, it doesn't really show like a landscape. It would be more of like a starry sky and then the object right over here being the focal point. But with that, you can actually see the full picture and it gives you a frame of reference on what you're supposed to be looking at. So, really the best thing about it is its perspective and what you can see using that perspective. My opinion of the Sublime would be that it is an interesting art style, especially if it were applied to modern standings, because unfortunately a lot of people don't really try to make Sublime art pieces anymore in like any medium. It's more contemporary pieces now, which are still good and they have a lot of value to them, but I think it would be so interesting to have like beautiful landscapes you can make where you get the Sublime feeling from that, or maybe an urban setting like a city, or maybe a place that you're more familiar with that you could create a landscape out of. It's something that you can create so many avenues for that it would be so beneficial to go back and really like experience that again and just see like, oh wow, I really enjoy making this, and then see where it goes from there, because maybe that'll create more avenues to improve your artistic work. Or if you just like to view pieces, then maybe somebody can make more Sublime pieces, then you can view them at a museum one day. Who knows? But with that being said, that concludes today's topic. Be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, have a good day.